Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Morris. I'm the Director of Business Development for Gaming for GTS Distribution, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us today, not just with us, but with two awesome people who are part of an awesome company making awesome games available to you. Today, we have Luma Games. We have Jules Vatour and Colin Young, who are available to talk about several different things. And I think this is going to be a very exciting conversation because Luma is not a publisher in the traditional sense of what people will look at as a publisher, but their value and what they offer is tremendous. They are one of our fastest growing partners. They are a partner that we are looking at heavily for, right now, currently in COVID and in the future in terms of, working with and investing in. And we want to make sure that we talked about not just one or two, but several of their games that are going to be key and important for you guys to know about. As always, like I like to remind everybody, everything is on the table, pardon the pun, so you're welcome to ask any questions you like. If you're new to our webinars, the easiest way to ask a question is just hover over your video, and at the bottom you'll see a little chat bubble. You can either send a message to all panelists or all panelists and attendees. The panelists are just myself and Jules and Colin. The attendees are everybody, so anyone and everyone on the call. But feel free to ask any questions you like. We'll be happy to answer them as we can. If it's something easy in chat, we'll knock them out in chat. If it's something that's better to have Jules or Colin get involved with, we'll let them get involved with as well. But happy to answer any kind of questions y'all have. I don't want to steal too much thunder because I know about a lot of the things we're going to be talking about, and several of these games are things that are on my personal shelf that I love and continue to play. In fact, King's Dilemma is one that I played just 2 nights ago, which is really awesome. So I will let these guys start talking about all their awesome things, and in the short term, if anyone has any questions, let us know. So with that, Jules, Colin, I'll let you guys take the floor and take over.
So I guess Colin will go through the games and the products. Colin is my right-hand man. I'm the CEO of Luma. Luma fundamentally is a Canadian distributor, which I bought shares of after leaving Cool Mini or Not about 2 years ago. And the minute we did that, I expanded back into the US because I missed all the retailers and I missed all my distribution partners I'd worked with in the past. And two, I'd been asked to work with a lot of the publishers I'd worked with in the past to help them develop and market games on the US market. So in April of last year, I founded Luma Imports. Luma Imports, I guess, Colin, if you want to bring up the slides, would be great. Luma Imports represents a whole bunch of publishing studios from Europe. Normally what we do is we import the games, we do all their marketing. Some of the publishers we represent, you will recognize. So we represent Horrible Games, which is the maker of Potion Explosion and Railroad Inc. and King's Dilemma and a whole bunch of great titles. Ankama makes Draftosaurus. They're better known for making Crossmasters in the past. And they have a wide array of other games. Brain Games is well known for Ice School, but their recent success has been Team 3. Hurricane, who's been recently added to our catalog, are the makers of Mr. Jack, and they are also coming out with Via Magica, which is a remake of Rise of Augustus, which was a Spiel nominee from a few years ago. Holy Grail makes Museum, Rallyman and Dominations, Geek Attitudes Brussels. Super Meeples makes all these amazing old Euro styles and pimps them out and makes a super wonderful version of Mississippi Queen and some Spiel des Jahres winners there. Synapse is near and dear to my heart because for those of you who may have seen him at shows with me in the past, at Cool Mini and at Asmo, the founder of that studio is Carl Briere, who was my international sales manager. So, of course, when he started his company, I couldn't say no, and Carl has launched 2 games thus far, one being Incubation and the other being Crazy Tower, and then Coatl will be a new one coming out in the fall. And then we have 2 smaller publishers focused on just a few titles. So Shuffle, best known for Color Addict, which has sold hundreds of thousands of copies across the world and are hoping to penetrate the North American market with that game. It's a huge success for us in Canada and on the French markets, and we're looking to revamp that and bring that into the US market. And then Tiki did a little game that's sort of a heritage studio where we did Gaia with them, which is a game that's been out for quite some time. Looking at adding some more publishers to our portfolio. We're super excited about the ones we have. We're really excited about the growth and the direction that a lot of these studios and the strategies that they're taking. And we're hoping to guide them, help them, partner with them, and just help them flourish on the US market. So for those of you who don't know me, I was the sales director at Asmodee USA prior to the FFG merge. And a lot of these people are people that I worked with in the past, and Horrible Guild now was a partner that I worked with at Coleman or not. So these are people that I'm very familiar to work with, understand their catalog. Colin also is part of that legacy. Met Colin a long time ago. He's essentially my right-hand man at Luma Imports. So he's the marketing director, but he's more than that. He's a man of many hats and is just an amazing person to have on my team, and I feel privileged to have him. And so Colin is the liaison to all these partners, these publishing partners. Has a lot to do with how we bring these games to market. And so, yeah, essentially that is what a Luma is, or a Luma import is. We're just really excited about the games that we're privileged to bring to the American market through these publishers. And I can tell you that the upcoming catalog for a lot of these guys is just as exciting as what they're coming out with now. So I don't know if there's any questions on that topic.
There was actually a question. Julio, who's a retailer of ours in Guatemala, he asked a question about, is it okay to buy King's Dilemma for LATAM in English from us? I think since you guys are Canadian and you have several partners in different regions right now, we're just selling your products in US, but you may have a partner directly.
So Latin America is not an issue. You have to understand that. So just maybe open this parentheses, because I know you guys have a few Canadian retailers as well. Because we are not the publishing partner, we are the importer, we are the marketing arm, we are the sales arms. There are certain times it's not that I don't want to sell into certain territories. It's just that those publishers are already active on that market. And then as for the Canadian side of things, if there are any Canadian retailers here, understand that I am a little bit selfish. Luma, when I bought the company, was solely a Quebec distributor that sold into the Quebec market and was just on the cusp of branching out onto the Canadian market. So we handle our own Canadian distribution ourselves. You can order, we haven't opened the territory up to any American distributors thus far. It's just a matter of logistics and finances for us. So, and also the long-term plan is, as we add to this catalog, we feel like we have we're going to build a robust enough catalog that we can develop our own market. And since this is our home country and our hometown, this is just the way we would prefer things to be. If there are any other international retailers on this panel, I'm not sure. I can sell, there are certain products from my line, like Horrible Guild is not a problem. I can sell you Horrible Guild into Latin America. However, if a publisher already has an agreement with an existing distribution partner, so for example, I can take Super Meeple, who has an agreement with a Latin American partner, then I would be restricted to sell to you. So when it comes to international, it gets a little bit more convoluted, but it's definitely done on a case-by-case basis. But for King's Dilemma, when we get the restock in a few weeks, you can go ahead and contact your GTS rep and order your heart away.
Awesome, perfect. Colin, I think over to you maybe?
Yeah, so that is the grand overview of what Luma is, and that gives you an idea of the different kind of publishers that we're working with. But the product proper will do kind of a quick jump around a couple of titles that are exemplary of what we do. And if I understand how PowerPoint works. I do. King's Dilemma has already been mentioned. This is been a phenomenal title for us. It has had a big spike with Shut Up and Sit Down doing an amazing review. The Kennerspiel nomination was tremendous. This is a very unique game, and it's interesting to figure out how to pitch it as a very consumable legacy game, but it is still a competitive game. And I think at the core of it is that voting process. This is a game for your customers, the people that want a narrative experience, but also want that intrigue and that deception and that bit of secret objective in terms of how are you going to ensure that your house performs well over successive generations. It is a choose your own adventure. It's a backstab your friends. It's a change up your goals from round to round over 15 to 20 games. And this is just a simple mechanic with complex moral decisions is really what they aimed for. And that is at the heaviest end of Horrible Guild's spectrum in terms of a dense gameplay experience. At the other end of that, am I seeing the chat pop up? And I'm going to try to let Scott deal with that and not get distracted.
Yeah, no worries. Just because this is probably a question that will broaden across all of the titles we're going to talk about. Do you guys have a retailer resource page or a Dropbox or anything that retailers can grab like images of, or social media, ads or anything like that for them to use?
So we do many different things. This isn't my first rodeo, as you know, Scott. So we have a weekly newsletter. It cycles out. We do it this way because we want our distributors to have this so that your retailers are not receiving the information and then contacting the distributor without them being aware of stuff. So the cycle goes like this. We have a weekly or bi-weekly to monthly newsletter that we send out to distributors. The following week, retailers, if you want to subscribe to that newsletter, you can get the very same newsletter as the distributor. Linked and embodied in that newsletter is our Dropbox. In that Dropbox, you will find assets, social media banners, videos, whatever the publishers have provided to us, we share with you. We believe that the more we can give you, the better. So we do that. It's also a good way with the newsletter. On the bottom, there's a link to the entire catalog. So we highlight what's new, what's being restocked. So just to keep you focused on, what's pertinent this month or what we're up to. But if ever you wanted to go back and get all the old assets as well, we have all those available for you as well. So I know there are many retailers that have signed up for our newsletter through GTS. We've received lists from different sales reps or different people at GTS. You can do it that way, or you can simply contact info@lumaimports.com. And we'll gladly add you to this. And from there, you automatically have a link to all our assets. You can also check out our Facebook pages. We do a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of data there. Our website is being built. GTS will learn about this shortly this week. I changed the ERP and the CRM of the company, which also affected our website. So that's being rebuilt, and GTS will figure out the growing pains of that
we're looking forward to the excitement of that on our own.
if you say you are looking forward to it, then you are foolish, my friend. But anyways, so there is limited access or limited resources. We were limited by time, and then obviously COVID-19, we had to focus our efforts elsewhere. One thing I wanted to chime in, a lot of the games that we're presenting here today, COVID-19 has, not just for us, but for many publishers and many different partners, COVID-19 has been very difficult on the supply chain. It's gone in ebbs and flows, it's gone in waves, it's gone in so many different ways. So we try to provide you with updated data on when we're getting our restocks and when we're releasing new product as quickly as we can. But on our end, the information changes on a weekly basis. King's Dilemma has been delayed, I think, 4 times so far. We were never supposed to run out of product. Turns out, shutdowns in Wuhan, lack of trucks, you name it. It's been just, and it's been crazy for everybody. But we do have confirmation on every product in our catalog. We've worked very strongly on trying to get the supply chain back to normal. It will start to become very normal and very full again in the catalog, starting in August, end of July, August. Just as an industry as a whole, there's a little event that runs in August normally, which is called Gen Con, and every publisher in the world tries to get their game out at the same time. Those things have been put into motion 6 months ago. And so manufacturers are dealing with that. So supply chain's been a little rough, hence the out of stocks on, games like King's Dilemma, Draft the Source and whatnot, just because components are made in China and whatever else, and then, assembled in different countries. So I want to apologize for, you guys wanting product or trying to get your hands on product. It has not always been GTS's fault. The blame lies more on Luma and the extenuating circumstances. But we do feel that by end of August, mid-August, end of August, everything will be back to normal. There's Draftosaurus stock on the way. It's on the water. King's Dilemma's on the water. All the Rallyman stuff is being manufactured, just about ready to be put on water. So we've worked really hard to make sure that at least during Q3 and Q4, that Railroad Inc. and all those other great titles that you already know from those publishers will be in stock. The other thing we did was we changed our release schedule. We felt that with retailers not understanding where we would be in COVID and everything else, and a lot of the pressures, and also just a ton of releases that are coming out in a few weeks, we felt like it would be better suited for us and for retail to just slightly postpone our releases so that you would be in a better position of understanding where you are in this pandemic. So that's been our strategy. And then along the way, and then I'm taking up Colin's time here, but along the way, we do have retailer programs, and this is one of them. And we're going to extend them. We did it during the COVID crisis, but we're going to extend them for a longer period of time, just to give you guys a little bit of a hand. So I'm going to shut up now, Colin, and let you go.
No worries, Jules. That's all good information. I did put the address that you said, the info@lumaimports.com, into the chat. So if anyone does need to reach out to Jules or Colin directly, you can feel free to do that. And just to echo on what Jules said, if for any reason you guys are looking for specific titles and we're either lower on stock than what you want to order, or you're just not seeing it in stock, contact me, contact your GTS sales rep. Like I said, this is one of the companies that we're trying to focus on and make sure that we keep this stuff in stock as much as possible for you amidst the insanity of COVID right now and everything that's going on. But definitely feel free to keep it as a two-way conversation. We're happy to help out as much as we can. I guess the short news on that is, as long as they have it, we'll have it. So.
Exactly. Colin?
Okay.
What's yours, my friend?
So jumping back on with Horrible briefly, the other end of the weight spectrum going from King's Dilemma is the Similo line. Myths just came out, following on the footsteps of Fables in History, releasing late last year. This has been one we've had a lot of success with as a point of purchase, as a quick demo. Those are things that are going to be different in a COVID situation, but we've also adapted and we've found great success in playing games like these over Zoom, over Instagram, over Facebook. The structure of the game has made it very easy to find different ways of playing it with different groups on different platforms, and with a growing interest in finding remote play games, this has been a very strong family-friendly title. So just at that $10 price point, it's been pretty simple to get into people's heads that this is a thing that can be very easily adapted to however people are playing in the moment we are in right now.
So for me, Colin, if I can interject, I shouldn't be saying this on a webinar, but my favorite way of describing this game is Codenames meets Dixit. It's just, it's the easiest game to learn. We've done massive events with retailers at Alliance, at other distributor shows prior to COVID, and it's been a huge success. You can teach it in 2 minutes. The rules are super simple, so if you can't demo it, people can learn it on their own. But the other thing we're doing, and this is not just for Simulomist, the new release, but also for the 2 titles, there's Similo, Fables, and History. The case pack is 8, but we are offering to retailers through GTS, you buy 7, you get the 8th one free. And it's not a demo program. We figured we leave this as flexible as possible for retailers. So when you buy 7, you get the 8th one free. You want to reorder because you sold out, you still buy 7 and get the 8th one free. So if you decide to take the first one and use it as a demo, well, the next one, you could just use it to increase your margin or a draw or whatever. We do not, obviously we care what you do with the game, but it's not, it's your choice. Like, you can use it to make extra profit, just whatever works best in your stores. We wanted to make these flexible programs. I would recommend that you contact your GTS rep, because we also offer that on a few other select titles where we have that same program going. So Similo definitely has been the one that has been the most successful with this program. So just contact, like, if you have any questions on how it works, just contact your GTS rep and they have all the answers.
Alex just put into chat, other Similo games have done really well for us. Highly recommend them. So that's good to hear.
That is very.
It's been a great success for us.
Yeah,
we're on it. They released it just late Q4 last year. Actually, not even. Sorry, this year. And we're on multiple reprints. It's been a huge success. So thank you for your support, and yeah.
Next up, we have Rallyman. So Rallyman is from Holy Grail Games. Holy Grail tends to do Kickstarters first. You may know them from Museum. But Rallyman is kind of indicative of where they're going. They just are wrapping up their Kickstarter for Rallyman Dirt and they have retail programs, but will also be dealing with the retail tail of that line there, because Rallyman has been a real success for us. And I mean, from people playing on the new Board Game Arena iteration and coming back, and interest has skyrocketed in the analog, the actual physical copy of the game, the various expansions. Some of you may be familiar with the original Rallyman games, which was an absolute cult classic, underprinted, very kind of underground success. And when they brought this back, they really increased the quality of the production, the overall scope of the expansions, what you can do, revising the rules with the original designer, Jean-Christophe Bouvier, like doing everything to make what it should have been a reality. And this one is, as Jules says, in the process of being manufactured, should be on the water shortly. This is one that has been a happy surprise at the passion. We knew it was going to do well. It is a great design and it's a great production, but the intensity of the community and the outpouring has been really strong. And so we're very excited that the Dirt line is doing well at the Kickstarter level, because we're positive that that is going to result in an extended tail with more ways to play the game, more ways to engage with the community, and more ways to just get it onto your table. This one we think is going to do very well for a while, including a solo mode, which, as we all know right in this moment, is sometimes the only way people can play. So
in my humble opinion, it's the best racing game.
Yeah, I've really racked my head to try to knock it against other classic racing games, and there's something about it which is just very elegant and very frustrating in trying to do
Yep.
better than your last run. Um, but I think the flexibility of the expansions and the flexibility of the base is what has really set it apart with an elegant rule system. So this one, and as Jules was saying at the very beginning, talking about what's coming from certain publishers, Holy Grail is one that we are constantly delighted to be working with because they have a great ethic, they have great production, they have great design, and they're only getting better. And I think that Rallyman should be held up as an example of what you can continue to expect from them over the coming years. So this one is a great example of what they're doing.
And Rallyman has been all over social media lately. I've been seeing that in several different reviewers, not just doing reviews of it, but actually like sitting down and playing through full games, over Twitch or over Facebook or anything like that. Yeah, I've played a lot of racing games in my time, and I think one of the things that strikes me about Rallyman is that it is, as you mentioned, an elegant rule set. It's easy to pick up. It's not complicated. You're not like, you don't have to become a pit engineer and like figure out how to, develop a car and fine tune it and everything like that. But you've got options that other racing games don't offer you, which is really, really cool. I think that's what sets it apart. Plus, as you said, it looks gorgeous. I mean, Holy Grail, just their artwork is so, amazing. I mean, that box cover with the helmet and the cars and the visor and everything, that's pretty stunning, and it stands out, which is important. So
Yeah, so the 2009 original was just this sleeping success. It had a large community. It had all the makings of the racing game. Just given the time and different times in the market, it was just this, sleeper. But when they redid it and we saw it for the first time again, we were like, okay, this is a hit. And I can tell you there's more to come on the pipeline. They have a production schedule for this game to keep the line going for the next 3 years. Dirt is just one step in the entire thing. They're doing I'll talk about it. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, but whatever. They're doing a community. They're going to let the community design boards. So you're going to have this fan base production of the game as well. So, these community-based games tend to last on the market for a very, very long time. And it's just growing. It's like Tabletopia, the numbers are growing, and you just go look at the forums and the numbers are really growing. So we're super excited about this title. And what's to come with it. So, Formula. Anyways.
And we'll jump on to one more that may be familiar to you, but has been,
it's the title that built Luma.
What do you say about Drafto? Draftosaurus continues to do very, very well for us. COVID has slowed us down momentarily, but it was, as Jules says, is on the water. This has been nominated for awards, winning awards. This has been just a runaway hit for us. Great price point, great production, easy to teach, easy to get people excited about it, adorable little dino meeples to play with. So even though we have the COVID situation, we found that this has still been exciting for families within their household, for groups within their extended bubble. Like, this is still performing very, very well, especially with kids at home. What with everything.
One thing I can say about this game is if you look at the authors, it's Antoine Bourgeois, it's Corinth, it's Ludovic Maublanc, it's Thierry Derrida. Like, this is the all-star.
The four horsemen of French design. I mean, that's
exactly. And so, if you have in your store fans of Seven Wonders, the draft game, that's been, obviously everybody knows Seven Wonders, but it's the same designer. And the mechanic of the game, essentially, when Antoine made this game with his team, he was, let's make Seven Wonders the family game. And this is it in 15 minutes. It's just wonderful. The meeples are adorable. yeah, anybody can play this. It appeals to the strategy gamer as much as playing it with your children. It's just got this wide reach. And I'm going to break my own Colin here. So we have been working secretly on 2 expansions for this. They will be available. We're hoping to have them here by the 1st or 2nd week of November. As soon as we have we get the go ahead from Uncom on the final artwork, we'll be sending out the sales sheets. They do add quite a bit to the game. There are substantial expansions. The price points are going to be great, but what they add to the base game, it changes the game completely. And there'll be 2 of them. So we're very much looking forward to that. We've already planned the reprint to on top of the one that's on the water. We've already planned the reprint to coincide with expansions so that when they relaunch, we'll have enough stock for the entire Christmas season. So that's Draftosaurus. It is by far, it is a sentimental thing for me, but it is my favorite game in my catalog. And I don't know if you guys heard, but it was the first game we showed at Luma. And the first time I played it, I just fell in love with it, and the team that made it. So yeah, this one's really near and dear to my heart. All of them are, but this one's special. So yeah, that's Draftosaurus.
Kind of a funny aside on that. The first time that I ever had the opportunity to play Draftosaurus, I actually bought my copy at a local store when I was living in Austin. And we ran by the store, me and my 2 boys who were 12 and 14. And then we were immediately going to the airport to pick up my wife, which, tell you how long ago it was because barely anybody's flying right now. It's kind of crazy. But we sat in the cell phone lot and my oldest son said, well, let's see if we can play it in the car. And we opened it and we were able to, between back seat and front seat, have our boards, have the draft, do everything in the car. And we played it 3 times while we were waiting for her plane to land. And they absolutely loved it and fell in love with it. And even at 12, my youngest said, this is like 7 Wonders. It's just cooler. I was like, okay. So that was a fun first introduction to it. It was a lot of good times.
Yeah, this has been the game where at shows or at stores, we've had a lot of experience with a person coming in and it was like, okay, I know that we've sold it to you. And they just come back and say, yeah, but I left it at my niece's house, or I had to give, my daughter's friend really wanted it, or this is a game where people keep coming back and buying it because they keep leaving it at a friend's house or leaving it at a family member's house. It's been really nice to see that level of engagement where this is what they bring to friends and family that may not play as much yet, that it is that accessible for them. For whatever reason, it resonates, and that's been really nice to see. And that's just like what Scott says with his boys, like there's something about it that really catches on, which is really nice to see.
And the die in the draft game, they've added a die, which is the great equalizer between the strategist and the casual gamer. So everybody can find their way in the game no matter how you play this game, you'll always feel like you're part of the game and not out of it because you are building your own little park. And so there's that sense of ownership to it that the children or younger adults absolutely enjoy. I mean, older people too, I love it. But yeah, so that's essentially it. And that's it.
Those are our products for now. Well, there's a lot of products, and we're happy to talk about them, perhaps under different circumstances.
Yeah, no,
So Railroad Inc., just to chime in, we had bought the stuff from Cool Mini. So you saw that the product in circulation still had the Cool Mini or Not logo. This fall, it will have the Luma logo, and we will be relaunching the blue and the red, which are completely out of stock. We had to sell through the old Cool Mini or Not product for many reasons. And then we'll also be launching the green and the yellow, which was a very successful Kickstarter for Horrible Gales. Potion Explosion is in stock. The expansions are on their way. There's just everything that's in the catalog will be coming shortly. Again, so if there's anything, GTS does have our production schedule. So if ever you have questions, they already have the information, and there is a delay between us and them sometimes. So we update, and like I said, the information changes very frequently. So we will keep you guys updated through them as much as possible, and via our newsletter, should you choose to do that.
The one thing I'd like to add as well, a lot of people in the past have tried to be successful with how Luma is approaching the market. But I think that one of the biggest advantages that Luma has is actually Jules's brain trust, because he is not just partnering with people who want their games to be in America, he's partnering with people that are making tremendously great games. All of these companies that you see on here are games and names that are very familiar with a lot of us already. Potion Explosion obviously has been around for a very long time, and arguably one of the biggest successes in
Mr. Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Jack. I mean, Ankama has been around for a long time, Brain Games, Huracan. And this is something that, while it's awesome right now, I don't want to spoil anything, but I have seen some of the stuff that is coming, and I can tell you that there is even more awesome coming and more awesome good stuff later this year and beginning next year. So that's why I wanted to stress that, this is definitely a partner to both be aware of and be on the lookout for, because it would not surprise me one bit if by this time next year, Jules is taking over the world with Colin.
So the thing was, for me, it was a lot easier. I mean, I've been around for a little while. So when I started this company, I had relationships with most of these guys. So, and I've worked with them in the past. So it was just a natural thing to do. It's a very similar model to a giant juggernaut out there. Mm-hmm. But essentially, when back in the day, this is how we started. We would rep specific lines. We would carry their entire line. We would demo it at shows. We would run their events like Gen Con and Origins or whatever. We would be the main point of contact for distribution and retail in North America. And essentially, it's a model I'd already built. So we're just going to try to rebuild it again. And, it's a different lineup of publishers, but they're all solid. Yeah. And they all have a very unique special skill set and a different way of approaching the market, which is interesting. So there is that balance in our catalog that there's something to offer for everyone. So whether you're the heavy gamer, you want to play those core, fully immersive games like King's Dilemma, we can get you to that, or we can take you as casually as Similo and Drafto, and then anywhere in between. And so the idea for Luma is to build a catalog that your family can follow throughout the generations. And that was the purpose of how we built this catalog. And now we just want to expand on that. We're going to be taking on select publishers shortly, obviously, having to manage them and doing a good job. So we don't want to expand the list and dilute the product either. These are really good partners and they work hard for us, and we feel like we do the same. So it's just this nice blend, but we are looking at adding maybe two more in the following 12 months. And then from there, we'll see where it takes us. But when you add a publisher, you're adding, anywhere between 6 and 25 games sometimes. So so just, we understand that it's a different model for a lot of you guys to sort of order from us through GTS, but out in your store also, there are publishers that will perform better in your location than others, and vice versa. And that's completely okay. That's the nature of the beast. And
So there was a question from one of the retailers, Marco, and I'm not exactly following where he's going with this, so I'm hoping you guys will know. He says, the Kick expansion Adrenaline, will we see it in the channel? Do you know which expansion he's talking about with that?
So there's about 25. Are we talking Railroad Ink Mark?
No. So what's going on? So what he means is the Rallyman.
Rallyman. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Taken all of the Kickstarter exclusives from the first expansion, from the first campaign, and they put it together into a.
I did not put together Kick as Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, that's the question, that a part of it is going from the current Dirt Kickstarter
so
campaign.
we are working on, so there's a few things we're working on with publishers to help retailers in the US. Notably, we are going to be launching a demo kit for King's Dilemma. It's just this little thing that you have in your store. Instead of showing the game and spoiling the first couple chapters, there's a little kit that we can do that with. We are working with Horrible Guild, Holy Grail. Too many holies in our catalog. But we are working with them on making product available, and we are going to be working on a brick and mortar program with Holy Grail on certain products. I can't confirm or deny that it will be available in the market, but it is something we are definitely in discussions on, Mark. But I can't, until I have a firm confirmation, I just don't want to give you a 100% yes.
That makes sense. I'll tack on to Jules and I have talked earlier about the King's Dilemma demo program. If you have people in your store that you have the opportunity to do a very short demo with in these times, I know it's kind of different for every retailer, it's going to be something really cool. King's Dilemma has been one of my favorite games of the last year since it came out at Gen Con recently. It's basically, in my opinion, and I know Jules can't say this, but I'll say it, it's basically Game of Thrones, the board game. It's a very narrative-driven, political fantasy environment, and it is just amazing how 2 or 3 cards will suddenly change your game and take you down this moral road of, well, do we do this or do we do that? And the thing that really shocked me about that game when I first played it was the very first setup only consists of 3 cards. And I remember us saying, okay, come on, this is supposed to be a real heavy narrative thing. How is 3 cards going to matter? How's this really going to impact stuff? And by the second card, there was all this discussion around the table. People were like, well, wait a minute. Why would you make that decision? Like, you wouldn't make that decision. You should do this. And it's just amazing how engaging that game is. And I'm sure that, as a demo with a even simple, couple of cards is still going to bring that out with the people around the table. So definitely look forward to that and, getting that out to the retailers to take advantage of.
Oh, that game appeals to RPG players. That game appeals to, and, if you want to find out people's true characters, play King's Dilemma. You will find out which of your friends is a really liar and which is not. It is an experience like none other. And you want to talk about bang for your buck in a game? Like
there's a massive amount of pain.
I think Scott's one of the very few that's played. Have you played it all the way through yet?
Almost. I think we're within about maybe 1 or 2 plays of finishing out our first full playthrough. Yeah.
So I have a group here in Montreal that has played it all the way through, and it was 80 hours.
Wow. We're on game 11 right now. So
yeah. So if you want to talk about bang for your buck and replay value, and the great thing about this game, I think this is a caveat most people don't understand. Unlike other legacy games where you have to have the same group of people, in King's Dilemma, you can have a player drop out and bring a new guy in, and you can still continue the narrative. It's amazing that way. So you're not bound by that group, and one guy doesn't show up and you can't play your game anymore. That experience can continue.
More valuable in the current times, right? With people having such a challenge getting together. So that's actually helped us be able to move it forward.
I was shocked. I played the crew, and we represented in Quebec. I was pleased that it won as well. But I was shocked that King's Dilemma had not won the Spiel. And I played both multiple times.
Sure.
But to me, this is a game that comes along once every 5 years, and there's nothing like it on the market. It's just so unique. To me, it's a juggernaut. And they're already working on an expansion. Like, they want this thing to continue. So we plan on making sure this thing sticks around for a long time.
Very cool. So Manuel had a question that might spin us off into an hour of discussion on its own, but I know, Jules, from your experience specifically, you probably have some opinions on this, so it may be a good thing to talk about. He suggested that, when the publishers that you work with do Kickstarters, is there any potential for them doing an exclusive for retailers? I know you have a lot of experience with that in the past, and maybe
I've managed a Kickstarter or two. So it comes down to finance.
Sure.
It comes down to the amount of volume, and then managing your print runs from a manufacturing standpoint. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into it, plate changes, molds, and all this other stuff. When I was at Cool Mini, created the retail program for Kickstarter for retailers, and we did do a few things that were retail exclusive, but not really. It's a matter of cost. The volume's just not there for most of them. In order to print games and get the cost, a lot of people don't realize this, but as they're printing for the US, they're also printing in 6 or 7 or 20 other countries. And even reprints to keep the cost down sometimes. There are times with games, if my reprint is not high enough to hit the MOQ, to hit that cost, to keep the retail price at a certain level, we have to wait for other international partners to join in on that print run so we can keep the SRPs down. Like there's a whole different dynamic that goes into that. And I will say this, for most publishers, or a lot of publishers, I can speak for myself. We definitely tried to look at it from different angles. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to make money on that small of a print run. And then when you're kickstarting, then you're going to get other countries that want to have the retail program as well. And then the translation costs explode, whereas we're not localizing with a publisher in, say, Germany or other countries like that. And normally what happens in those games is the cars or the molds for the miniatures are made for one print run across the board, and then all the language-based stuff is printed individually. So that's kind of like the whole dynamic of Kickstarter and generally printing and publication in general. But that's why you don't see a lot of it. It's not that they don't want to, but getting to those volumes is extremely difficult. And I mean, and the other thing is, you'd have to almost have retailers prepay for the print run, and the cost would not be competitive with your regular Kickstarter. Your game would be double the price. So that's why you don't see a lot of it. It's why publishers try to find solutions to either making a goodie or something else that we can give to brick and mortar shops to help you along the way, or offer demo programs or the buy 7/6. The reason for that is we're able to print the volume we need to get to the margins we have, so we can offer you those products, and also get that to work for our distribution partners as well, because they're involved in the process. So those are I could talk about this for days, not just an hour. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially the reality of the industry right now.
And Manuel just said thank you for the explanation. So yeah,
I hope it answered it, Manuel.
Yeah, no, that's okay. One of the big things, though, I think, is that's kind of the gap that you're helping bridge as Luma, right? While publishers may have a Kickstarter that is direct to consumer, that's obviously not the entire market, right? I mean, there's
exactly.
plenty more market to be able to pick up, and a lot more sales to happen. And you guys are helping be that kind of bridge for them to be in distribution, like ourselves and other partners that you work with, be more readily available and be accessible for retailers, which is good. So,
yep. The other thing is, I think there's a different perception of Kickstarter nowadays. It used to be, when a game was Kickstarted, there was no room in retail left for it. Right. But that's not the case. And the numbers don't lie. Based on my career, I can't divulge pure data, but I can give an overall picture of general knowledge. Normally, in general, the bigger the Kickstarter, the more retail sales follow it. It's just been the trend we've analyzed over the years. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rules, but I mean, just look at Gloomhaven. It's been a huge success in retail. You know, you look at some of the cool mini stuff like, you know, Rising Sun and Zombicide, it's still going on. The examples are just numerous. So, you know, as a retailer, paying attention to what's happening on Kickstarter and buying that for your store is actually a great tool. It's a great barometer. Yeah, that's essentially it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day.
So Julio, if you're asking Kickstarters from us, the thing is I don't print the games. Holy Grail prints the games. And so we work with them. They're the creative, they're the Kickstarter. They handle the manufacturing side. I mean, I work closely with them, but that is entirely up to them, and their international market is entirely up to them. So that plays a huge factor on what impacts the Kickstarter and what's available in the North American market as well.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're getting near the bottom of the hour here. Looks like we've answered most of the questions. I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to come and talk about this. Like I said, you guys both have a wealth of experience in the industry in general, but then working with these great partners and making them available to the retailers just means an overall success for everybody together, which is really good. So really appreciate you taking the time to come talk to the retailers. Retailers, as always, thank you very much. Really appreciate the time. I know we've been recently doing a lot of these, you know, every Monday and every Wednesday, it seems like, which is great information. But I know there's always, you know, precious time, you know, slot available for everybody. So appreciate y'all taking the time to come. So Jules, just as a reminder, I put it in the chat, but it's info@lumaimports.com if anyone has any questions and want to reach out to you guys directly. And of course, as always, if anyone has questions, you're welcome to follow up with me directly. My email is just smorris@gtsdistribution.com, or you can always contact your sales rep and they'll be able to help you out as well. So, but hopefully these games will be very big successes for everybody if they haven't already been in your stores, and really do appreciate the time, everybody. Thanks so much.